my third husband.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's his third husband. Yeah, my fourth husband.
Oh my gosh!
Just kidding. She didn't go in for another.
No, my fourth husband I want to meet on first class plane in the bar, going over to, when I get my literary agent, to talk to them about my book.
Oh, this is
So
your
you with this husband, or you're looking for a
I'm
husband?
looking for
Yeah.
this.
Oh, so you're looking
You're
at
amazing. I couldn't take one. I lived with one man and that was enough. I don't know how you revisit that.
I don't like being on my own.
My question is, so which one out of the three was the love of your life?
Oh my
Oh,
God.
None of them. The
good
love of my
question.
life I met a very long time ago when I separated from my second husband. He was the love of my life.
So
He walked through the door and asked me to be with him on God.
You did. Yes.
Yeah. But Paul came pretty close. He was
What number was he?
number 3.
Okay.
Because he was intellectually very bright and we got on well. But we got on sexually as well.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does help.
Because I can't intertwine sex out from...
I don't know.
Oh, many people can.
Oh,
Many people
What, sorry?
Well,
I don't give a shit what the
we
world
ruined the
thinks.
planet, we dispossessed,
I
imprisoned
was
and
born
slaughtered
a
First
bitch.
Nations people, we
I was
enforced
born a
gender
painter.
roles, we
I was
systemized
born
rape,
fucked.
racism, misogyny,
But I
transphobia,
was happy in
homophobia,
my day.
ableism, classism and unsustainable
You do
food
not
industry.
understand
We
my
allowed
pain.
fossil fuel companies to
I
operate
am
our
love
elected officials like
and
ventriloquist dummies
pleasure
from hell, raping our
and
planet for
essence.
economic gain. We turned the prisons and military into big
an
business.
alcoholic.
We sold our land,
I
our
am
resources, our
tenacious.
water table and the port of
I
Darwin to
am.
the Chinese who were now in a
Simply,
trade war.
I am.
We empowered the church to such a degree it's now just a tax
I don't
haven for
give a
pedophiles,
shit what
with
the
the
world
ability to
thinks.
manipulate government policy
I
and
was
mandate
born a
legislation
bitch.
on women's bodies
I was
without
born
their
a
consent.
painter.
And
I
we
was
bred
born
dogs to a
fucked.
superficial aesthetic
But
level
I
so
was
they can no
happy in
longer
my
breathe. But pugs are so cute the way
You
they
do not
suffocate when they
understand.
walk. Their eyes are pointing in different
I am
directions
love
because they're asking both
and
owners to kill
pleasure.
them.
Welcome back to Beyond Survival. This is episode 6 in our season 2. I'm Geraldine, your host. Kelly, my co-host. Gizmo, our super host. Stephanie in the background, our producer. And this is a place where we are talking to artists and thinkers, navigating fast culture with different approaches. So with that, I would like to welcome our guest, Ali Sumner, Dr Ali Sumner. I didn't actually ask you about that. Should we review you to as the Dr Ali Sumner?
Ali's fine.
Ali's fine, good. Ali is a Perth-based researcher, a consultant and thinker whose work's exploring how people and organisations can think more effectively in complex environments. Ali holds a PhD in philosophy. Sorry everybody, I'm referring to my notes because it's comprehensive what Ali's doing and has done. And she has done a PhD in philosophy and management from Curtin University and has covered over 2 decades, or has over 2 decades of experience helping teams and leaders developing thinking tools really and frameworks to improve collaboration and decision making. I would like to welcome you firstly, Ali, so thank you for coming to our table.
Yeah, welcome to the
Thank
table.
you. I'm really pleased to be here.
It's great, we've landed.
Yeah, we've landed after some camera problems, folks. So, not that you will feel that or know
It's
that,
taken
but
a few
here
starts
we
to
are.
get to the table, but we're delighted to have Ali as a guest today. She's also the the founder of Brain Power, which is her consulting practice and focused on thinking capability, complexity leadership and strategic problem solving.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do have lots of things that we want to tuck into, but I know that you have written the book and you put it to the publishing world, and it is about complex thinking tools for complexity.
Combination, partly philosophical, partly focusing on the thinking tools created by Dr. Bono.
Yes, yeah, and it was that those thinking tools obviously. When I first met you, was the colour coding part of
Yes, that's
Edward
it's one of his processes, one of
Yeah.
his tools.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's nice to hear that you found it valuable.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
did. So it makes sense that you've written a book on your really,
Yes.
and yeah, I'm happy. Yeah. I know that the background tools are there with methodologies?
Can you tell me
That's fine.
what it is? Because I don't know
Yeah,
who you're
yeah.
talking about.
Oh.
Like I know the name, but I don't know
okay.
what he's done or.
Edward de Bono is, some people will protest this if I say it, but he is the creator of lateral thinking.
Okay.
He coined the word, invented the tools and the process-specific formal tools of lateral thinking in 1969. And then he has invented since then a range of other tools. I don't know if you've heard of the 6 thinking hats.
No.
6 thinking hats are pretty well usually found in schools these days. And he has another talk about his work as toolboxes. So there's a toolbox that you could label with 6 thinking hats. There's a toolbox which is lateral thinking, and there's a whole range of tools in that box. And there's a toolbox that is power of perception. It's all about decision-making tools. And if you learn and apply correctly those tools, just like a carpenter using a hammer and whatever, and applies it correctly so that the design of the work is pretty successful, then I call that combination sitting in a tool shed. And so with my book, A Journey to Complexity and Reality, I take the reader through those tool boxes, describe the principles and the rules associated with them.
I know.
I'm just absorbing what you said, and I'm just like thinking of all the applications
The crowd
where
goes
it's
wild.
possible. It's like I was thinking, first of all, that feels a far more creative mind approach. That lateral, outside of the box. We often use those words, don't we? Oh no, we've got to pivot, or we've got to think outside the box on this one. It's not working. I'm very interested in the kind of idea. Correct me if I'm wrong, that you're looking at the existing draconian style of thinking and working that we do, and you're saying that's almost obsolete.
Yeah.
We need to work.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. We're seeing that on a global level at the moment, of where it can go when it's on steroids and out of control. And perhaps that's the warning button. I feel like that's the warning button to, okay, the whole of humanity has to pivot and think differently and do differently, because this system is no longer working.
Yeah.
It just got busted by heinous people who want to control the world, billionaires that have got too much money and not enough brains and think that the world's going to end, the apocalypse is coming kind of stuff.
And also trying to control from the top.
Oh, 100%. I don't even know that they believe their own
So
rhetoric.
there's not even collaboration, there's not really, there's no democracy or, governmental systems. It's all
It's
it's collapsing, it's a pretense, and a lot of people are waking up, and hence we do need new tools.
Yes. Well, I'm actually saying in the book very clearly that I think we humans have made an assumption that we're born aggressive, and we've learned to have disagreement and conflict, and that is taken over from cooperation, being kind to each other. And the book is about us having, as a matter of priority, to shift from disagreement, which is basically fundamentally aggressive, to consideration and cooperation. And so the book really looks at how that can be achieved. And part of that is for us to really shift the German word is Weltanschauung. It's, I don't know if I say it properly, but it's a worldview, is completely challenge and shift our worldview from one where we believe we're aggressive, we'll always be in disagreement, to one where we will be cooperative. There's a couple of books around that area. One is called Humankind, which is a great book, and Rutger, I can't remember his name, but he proposes that we, from an evolutionary point of view, we've had to be kind to each other, because that is the only way that we've survived and thrived. And so the book is all around how do we take that on board in the 21st century? What does it mean to be kind? And so the combination, the philosophical shift in point of view, and adopting de Bono's thinking tools is the guts of the book.
So what is your relationship with the Bono Institute? Is it an institute?
Yeah, the Bono Institute's no longer operating, and the POWA Institute that I was CEO is no longer operating. But I am still an accredited
so it's an accredited trainer.
It's an accredited. It's a proprietary limited programs, and I've been accredited as a trainer since 1999, and I've trained about 3,000 people in his tools.
It's incredible.
What would you do for the training? What sort of process would you put people through for training?
Yes.
Yeah.
Number one, we're very bad. We're very good as humans in concentrating, but I see concentrating like I'm concentrating on moving the things on the table. That's very different from focusing on what am I thinking about when I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So that's focus, and focus can be looked at in two ways. Area focus, I want thinking in the area of something, and purpose focus, and that is all about what is the purpose of my thinking. What do I want to achieve with my thinking? And so I start the whole process, as most of the trainers do, with looking at learning focus, both of those types of focus, and I've just given you lesson 1 in the
Thank you for that.
And particularly with purpose focus, when you have learned, I can write down a purpose focus in 3 parts normally. This is what I want to achieve with my thinking. Then you're able to look at what tools do I need for that. So those 3 parts in a sentence, if you think of a sentence cut into 3 sections, and the first section is what am I focusing on? What thinking behaviours do I need? Second is for what subject? And the third is for why. We can write the sentence, I am running to catch the bus so I get to work on time. Or I'm jumping over the puddle so I don't get wet. So that 3-part sentence includes in the first part a thinking verb. And we're not used to seeing thinking verbs in our thinking. We are used in action. We know that there are verbs tell us our action words, right? So some of the thinking verbs are things like explore, create, not create something, but create ideas. Explore, create.
So conceptual, more conceptual.
No, they're actual thinking actions, thinking behaviours. So
does the thinking behaviour become a behaviour though, or is that
No,
are we talking about just
cognitive in here.
Okay, just a cognitive. Okay.
So investigate, develop, create. These are all thinking verbs. So if you see that first part of the sentence as a thinking verb, then you go, well, what am I doing that thinking action about? That becomes our subject, and then we have our purpose. And that is why are we doing this. This is for purpose focus, and that gives you the sentence in action time, real action time. I'm jumping over the puddle so I don't get wet. With thinking behaviour, it would be things like, I am developing a strategy so I can move myself out of this problem. So it's still the same, 3 parts. That's lesson 2 that you just had.
Start taking notes.
Well, Steph asked.
It's recording.
It is recorded as a podcast, right?
Steph, asked the question.
Yes,
I know, it's fascinating. I'm just
Because it's recording and it's going public, I have to say over and reiterate, these tools that I'm talking about are developed by Edward de Bono. So there is a copyright, and I think it's an ethical issue that you always acknowledge the inventor of it.
Yeah.
Can I now ask a question?
Shout out to Edward de Bono.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Was
Can we just go back to the beginning a little bit?
Yeah.
How did you start out in your work life? Like, where did you start? How did you get to where you are now, having these conversations, writing these books, doing your PhD, all that sort
interrupt the flow before
Yeah.
we dig too far in, because it took us so long.
Oh, you want to eat?
Yeah. We often welcome people to the table, and we have, as you can see, a small feast that we prepare.
I hope
for
I
our
got the
guests.
food right. I often try and pair the recipes
Oh, yeah.
with what I, even if I don't know the guest, I try and gather enough information that I can get a feeling for what you might
So
like.
what is that one?
So this This has been a little bit, you can see, as the reheating, it's just gone a little bit brown. It's actually like a quiche, really.
Oh, right.
It's slightly different to a quiche. It's got like sun-dried tomatoes and some roasted capsicum that we did, and we roasted and preserved
Well, I'll have a
ourselves.
slice of that.
All right.
Alright, Geraldine, play mother.
Because we're always doing like gluten wheat-free sort of stuff because of Geraldine.
Yeah.
That bloody Geraldine.
She's very special, as we all know.
You cut this
Oh,
time.
And the cake. Do we want to introduce the cake while I'm passing
Oh,
on
the
one?
cake. Stephanie made the cake, so she can describe what it is, Steph.
Steph?
The cake is, I can't
Your
even remember
touches
what
cooking.
it's called. It's a Persian something or other, whatever. And it's got, I don't know, almonds. What? I don't know. It's your recipe.
Not my recipe per se.
Persian
And you did
nut cake.
tweak it to your thing.
Yes, I
It's meant to be a
tweaked
Persian cake with a syrup. It's got a syrup
it's
that's
got a
just poured
rose.
through it,
It's
like
a
a rose
Persian
syrup.
rose cake with almonds, pistachios, and
you put-
mango, dried mango. I can't even remember what else.
Pawpaw.
But it's pawpaw.
Cool. It'll all be in the descriptions.
Sorry about the extra brown on top. It shouldn't really be
But
like
it
that.
looks
Tasty.
beautiful.
But everything's homemade, including
It
the
looks
pastry.
beautiful. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got there's the slider if you want it.
Oh,
do.
the topping's
So.
great with the pistachio and the pawpaw, dried pawpaw,
And the mango.
and some walnut as well, and mango, is it?
And I guess Steph's I'm the only one having mushroom pie.
So you
No, I
can
think
Also
mushroom
very
pie.
good. Really good.
And we often have Gizmo kind of doing sort of a yo-yo from food plate to plate. Sorry, Gizmo.
As soon as there's
It's a bit cruel, but you know what? You have plenty of food in your bowl.
just while we're eating, am I allowed to ask more personal questions? Where did you hail from? Where were you born? Were you born in this state, another state,
Okay.
somewhere else?
Yeah. I was born in Fremantle. Grew up in Fremantle.
That's where we were all born.
Went to John Curtin High School. Met my first husband there. Became the father of my 2 children.
And your children, how old are they now? And
Oh goodness, 50 and 49.
boys, girls?
2 boys. I went to kindergarten or preschool training college. So I started my whole professional life as a teacher. Anyway, so moving on, for 7 years I was in the Department of Education and Training, so I was a public servant. I left that and formed the POWA Institute. One of the formal tools of lateral thinking is go. So if you place PO in front of a sentence, then you take on board that it's possible. And then you're free to move to new ideas because it breaks the polarizing effect of your brain and how it works.
Okay.
And so power comes from PA, the possibility for new ideas for WA. So that's where it comes from. Anyway, I was CEO for 10 years, and then I decided to do my PhD after I finished my master's degree. I was chairperson of Green World Revolution, which was a small social enterprise working with long-term unemployed people, and that lasted 14 years. And then we pivoted because we shifted to becoming a manufacturer of recyclable bottles into designer homewares. We've recently just given away all of our assets to a like-minded small charity, and so we're now free from that. So,
And that was, I know, I interacted quite a bit with Toby at that over that time. Really did have to pivot.
yes,
at
absolutely.
that time,
We
and-
couldn't survive come COVID.
Well,
and so, did I answer your question about my personal background?
Yes.
Yes.
I am your waiter for the sea.
My third husband died soon after I started, and it was very sudden. He dropped dead in our bed while I was in Melbourne.
Oh gosh.
Oh, wow.
Having meetings.
Am I allowed to ask how old you were at that time?
He was 67 and I was 5 years younger.
So my age, 62. Then you got married again.
He died on the Saturday morning and I got home on the Sunday evening.
Oh wow, okay.
Toby came into the house with me with a friend that had been having dinner. with a friend, and I thought at first that he was alive, and then I went home and he was black all the way down.
Oh wow. Okay.
But the evening was surrealistic, to say the least. He had wine, he was a wine buff, and he had wine that he insisted we wouldn't drink. So I went downstairs and immediately started drinking the wine that he insisted we wouldn't drink. And we had to wait for the coroner to arrive. And the coroner arrived with this little guy, shaven head, and he had a tattoo that was in the shape of a swastika wrapped around the Star of David on the back of his head. So it was very hilarious at the time because we were rolling drunk on the wine. You weren't supposed to be in shotgun. So yeah, that's the third husband. Yeah, my fourth husband.
Oh my gosh!
You didn't go in for another.
No, but my fourth husband I want to meet on a first class plane in the bar, going over to, when I get my literary agent, to talk to them about my book.
Oh, this is
So you with this husband, or you're looking for a
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, so you're looking at
amazing. I couldn't take one. Not live with one day, that was enough. I don't know how you revisit that.
I don't like being on my own.
My question is, so which one out of the three was the love of your life?
Oh my
Oh,
God.
None of them.
Good
The love of my
question.
life I met a very long time ago when I separated from my second husband. He was the love of my life.
So
He walked through the door and asked me to be with him. Oh God.
Yes.
Yeah. But Paul came pretty close. He was
What number was he?
number 3.
Okay.
Because he was intellectually very bright, and we got on well. But we got on sexually as well.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does help.
I can't intertwine sex out from.
I don't know.
Oh, many people can.
Oh.
Many people.
Sorry, you can't intertwine sex.
Many people
Right,
choose
right,
pragmatic
right.
sexual
So just
watching it,
It seems like such a Victorian sort of concept.
No, I think most marriages are quite transactional today. Still.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, just watch Max. And
Well,
I'm sorry, but that is one silly, stupid
Yeah,
show.
but it's very
I need
much
to be in
about
love with
love
someone
and
and have
dangerous,
sex
very
with them, or
dangerous.
at least be fond of them and have strong feelings. I can't.
Yeah.
When I was younger, yes, but now, no.
No.
And especially after coming out of a really traumatic marriage,
Yeah.
I don't want. It's definitely going to have to be head over heels love for me next time.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely. To get on that plane with you, Ali, so we can find one together in the.
just coming back to the book,
Yes.
and I love that there's older women at the table. I think it's fantastic.
I've just turned 75. And
Who are you calling old at the
Older,
table?
I said older,
Geraldine.
older women.
Older. Yeah.
So who's sensitive about that word? Stephanie.
I'm the oldest out of all of you. Just turned 77.
Just
Yes.
Well, what I love
Sure.
about you being 77 is that you have a book to publishers, and you're talking about the next book, and possibly the third book,
Yeah.
and possibly the fourth husband.
that's
So-
a nice wide circle.
You could have been me on that.
Yeah. Or we might bring it back to that. So, Journey to Complexity Reality.
Yes.
I'm going to read it out because the byline is a mouthful.
Yeah.
A new worldview and thinking tools to enable global cooperation in the 21st century. We're nearly a quarter of the way through this
Okay.
part of 2026, we're moving towards 2030 fairly quickly. We need these tools
Yeah.
ASAP, don't
Yeah.
we? And I think it's obviously, so talk a little bit about complexity reality as a
Well,
as the
it's
first line.
it's a not non-fiction book, but it's told in a narrative style. So it's told from a first position, and I, as a first person, the writer, operate like a travel guide. So I take people on a journey through various phases, and those phases and that journey is illustrated at the beginning of the book, in addition to the contents pages, as a map that you can actually fictitiously follow to find out where you're at in that journey. So as a travel guide, I operate where I'm talking to the reader as though we're walking side by side through this map. And various chapters take the person who's reading the book through these phases. And those phases are going through what I've called the plane of challenging ideas, and then moving on to the realm of the complex, the realm of new thinking, and then the realm of new relationships. And that takes you across this landscape. And so the chapters are divided into those different realms. And also the reader can go on a bit of a side trip, and they can go on the side trip to Lake of Deeper Understanding, I've called it, where they can do a deep dive to gather extra information. So there are 3 appendixes where they can do that. So they don't have to read the appendices, but if they want to, they can go on a much deeper level of understanding of complexity, the thinking tools of Bono, and their leadership issues.
This is very clever.
So that
it is.
gives
Very
it
clever.
more comprehensive coverage.
And who do you think, I often say, who are you geared up? Who do you think your audience is?
Pretty well know who the audience is. I think every writer has to know that in order to start.
Yeah.
But number one, people who are willing to learn and challenge themselves, really challenge themselves and not get scared. So people who are willing to learn, who have a motivation to, and I'm drawing on, I can't remember her first name, Dweck. And Dweck talks about mindfulness and having mindful thinking, not in the ordinary sense, but in the sense that you have a mindset which always wants to learn and doesn't close off because you don't think that your intelligence has got a ceiling. See, a lot of people
Carol
feel...
Dweck.
Carol Dweck, thank you. A lot of people feel they have a ceiling to their understanding of intelligence. They think that it's a fixed thing.
Yeah.
So there's fixed and we've got non-fixed.
Non-fixed is fine.
Yeah. So it's very important that people don't have a fixed mindset who are the audience. Also, people need to be people who understand there's something wrong, that we're in dire straits, that we really need to do something about it. We're running out of time. So there's a certain urgency and they want answers and they want to be able to contribute from their
social groups, political groups, I can see.
So basically that's a fundamental sort of...
Very poignant timing.
governments.
Very poignant timing.
Yeah, I think it
Really
is.
broad.
At the beginning, because I place in the first chapter. First of all, in the first chapter, I say to people, if you read this chapter, then up and on the map it shows if you get to this point, you can make up your mind. Go back to what you, or you can
just
move
keep
on.
going where you
Keep on going.
were going anyway.
Yeah, and so I can't remember where I was at.
Go back to what you're on.
Yeah, no, it's before that. It was just people not having a fixed mindset. Anyway, so I think that fundamentally that's who the audience is for the book.
Can I just interrupt there and just ask, what, in your opinion, does an open mind look like or feel like?
I definitely think it's someone who does not put up a barrier and say no or try to justify. They're prepared, in De Bono's thinking tools terms, particularly the lateral thinking, because with the lateral thinking tool you're bumped out, shocked out of what you've become very used to, and you then need to move forward because the patterns of your self-organising information system, your brain, is broken. So you either get stuck there, and I can see it on people's faces when I'm training them in the tools, where they will just go, I've gone blank. And they're putting up barriers to what is proposed. And with the lateral thinking tools, you can't do that because that breaks the rules.
Yeah.
You have to stay open and you don't get stuck. You move forward, and it's an actual tool.
Breaks the flow, so to speak.
It's a process called movement, and you learn, because we're not used to movement. So you learn to move forward one step at a time rather than blocking. So I think, I can't remember quite what you...
A couple of questions in there now.
Yeah.
But first of all, I think the movement that you're talking about in thought, in lateral thought, and you have to be free for that. To me, in my language anyway, it rings true to our little kind of thing when we were at art school, one of our lecturers gave us a task of what does it look like to go with the flow.
Yeah.
That was second year, so it was, again, pretty good timing to start. In the first year you do a lot of technical stuff, and second year's about conceptualising, and so that opens that door.
Yeah.
30 years later, we're still working with that statement, Lois and I. That's the other co-founder of StudioZer0. And it's a constant. It's never ending. You don't stop looking and going with the flow. We always just say, the only time we're not in the flow, not going with the flow, is when we get in our own way.
Yeah.
When we do that halt. Hang on a second, I think I know better here. I think I can control the space. Immediately when we do that, all of the other stuff magically disappears and falls away, which is not a good thing. So then you've got to find your way back in. Yeah. But you can only do that once you change the fixed position, which is the I know better stuff.
Yeah, I think your question was about what does open.
Yeah, what does open thinking look like? Because as I was reading through this reading that Geraldine gave me, I thought about, that sounds... I'm trying to fit it into my language to understand the whole storyline of what you're talking about.
Culturally, we're very used to blocking.
Yes.
And we use words like no, but, and so on. One of the exercises I've always done with people I'm training.
Or even yes, but.
Yeah.
That's still
or yeah, no.
Which is disastrous.
Or yeah, no. That's very obviously
cutting. It's undercutting what you already just said. And you can hear that with politicians. Yes, blah, 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 and then they'll go back, and they're completely undercut in what they're talking about. But we do it all the time. I just did it. I try not to. Anyway, a little exercise that I've done with people who loved, and that is to say, okay, we're all, and I have them in a circle, sometimes, 30 people, we're all going to go on a picnic tomorrow. And we're all going to say and I'm going to take, or I'm going to bring, or whatever. So we go around the circle and everybody has to say and I'm bringing the picnic, and I'm bringing the whatever, we go around. And then I said, now we're going to go on the picnic tomorrow, and we're all going to say but.
Yes.
And it's going to rain. But I can't get there. And all the way around, and I say, and we will never get on the picnic. So that's what I mean about the difference between and, which will take you forward, and but, which will stop you. And we have it ingrained in our Western thinking and philosophy that we will raise a but in some way, and that often leads to outright aggression and into the current state of disagreement, which is I was talking about before, instead of lowering that state and increasing our ability to be cooperative. And Western thinking, I talk a lot in the book about the danger of Western thinking and philosophy, because I'm actually very negative about philosophy. I've got a PhD because I think it's absolutely what I call in the book the big problem, and I trace through in the first chapter before you get to the position where you make up your mind and you can go on reading, that the big problem is caused fundamentally by Western thinking and philosophy, and this position that would say but to everything. And so I thought I needed to look, because I talk about existential crisis, which is what we're in, and wicked problems and those sorts of things. And I wanted to see what were people saying we could deal with this. And it came down to, we'll just try and move around it. We'll learn how to live on the coast and so on. And so
inland.
Or inland or whatever. And that's just shifting the problem across the board. But, excuse me, sorry, there's but again. I then thought, well, I'll have a look at where cooperation is happening and what's the best place, and I decided it was the United Nations. The United Nations have an organisation called MUN, and it's a model United Nations, and it involves thousands of young people up to 25 every year, and they go physically into a situation at the United Nations where they are nominated as a representative of a country.
Which is very prestigious. I know
Very
about
prestigious, and they often go on to become bona fide members of the United Nations themselves. And so I started to look at the MUN websites, and I found this plethora of go out to kill your opponent. All of this language, which was absolutely negative agreement.
Kind of like a debating team, the old
Totally.
model of it.
Because
Yeah.
the thing with the debating team is that it ends up eventually, it might be really nice and everyone's happy in a meeting, or it ends up eventually, if it's not curtailed, in Israel or Ukraine, and it ends up in a war, right? And so the only way we can get out of that is to have new thinking tools, so that we go from adversarial thinking to parallel thinking. Because the rule with De Bono's tools, when you use them in parallel, so if I've got my red hat on, everybody in the group has their red hat on. Some people say, oh, red hat is emotions, feelings. And some people say, oh, that's just group think. But I'm using but and positive, so either one.
Butt end.
But and, yeah. However's a good way out of that. However, with the 6 thinking hats, you are expected to use the blue hat. And the blue hat is the overview, like the sky, like the conductor. It's process control. So everybody can step into putting on them, because you put on or take off the hat. You know.
Is that blue sky thinking? Is that
No.
It's very different.
It's
But I hear
different,
people, creatives, talking about blue sky
Yeah,
thinking.
I know.
It sounds a bit similar to
Yeah,
the concept.
Successful
creators are the fuzziest, most sprawling, bloody thinkers in the world.
The blue hat is successful reflection process.
That's part of it. It's a small part of it.
Okay.
But you can nominate which hat you're going to be in, you can nominate what times you're going to be. And blue hat deals with focus. Really sorts out what you're trying to do with your thinking. So, lost my train of thought again.
Oh, you were talking about the MUN website, the model.
Yeah.
You were talking about the MUN website, the model.
Yeah.
So,
Which really is combative thinking, isn't
totally.
it?
That's on steroids at the moment, with
I
through
know, it's
the
terrible.
Trump administration, particularly,
Yeah.
they've given permission for everyone to do that
Yeah.
And I
strongman
know
rhetoric,
with,
really.
the
That's why
little-
we're seeing so much extra violence around the
The
world,
little
because
bit
he's
of-
given
yeah.
everybody permission.
The little bit of work that I've done in government and with government bodies and groups is that there's this complete the butting of heads. Invariably,
Yeah,
it'll
it's
be the young
adversarial.
buck and the old buck, or at some point
Yeah.
there's
It's
arguments.
completely
And
adversarial. And young people, as I said,
And it's disappointing.
thousands and so on. It just shifted the whole, complete shift in the culture of what we were doing. And that included people. See, the thing, Red Hat, which is different from the EQ, is that with Red Hat, the rule is you do not justify feelings,
that, yes.
right? And so,
Yeah.
without justification, you can go on anything that's it belongs to you. And you only have a few 30 or 40 seconds to say that. So it's off the top of your head, and it can shift and change any day depending on the context. And I have trained people not to have eating agendas, because I liken them to the 1950s bowling club agenda, where all you get is topics. What are we going to do for Christmas next year? When are we going on the company picnic? It's all just topics, and there's no effort in what thinking do I want to achieve. Because
brilliant. Yeah. More power to it as well.
And just with this new book that you're doing, where does that whole picture fit into? Because that feels like an evolution of what you're talking about now.
The first chapter is really an exploratory chapter for people to make up their minds whether they want to go ahead or not. The second one is the phase of...
Well, this is the map.
So the second is the realm of new thinking.
New thinking.
So that's where
yes.
all De Bono's tools are covered. Plus there is side trips. You can go much deeper into De Bono's tools. And the guys, he wrote 60 books.
Wow.
So there's a lot he deals with values at length. There's a range of books. And then the realm of new relationships is the leadership and particularly complexity leadership, which is my master's degree. And complexity leadership is a whole different approach to dealing with people in the 21st century. Rather than seeing leaders as leading people, which is practically impossible because you can't deal with lots of people, it's too complex.
Yeah, and culture. You were talking about changing culture.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
And this is
It's a fundamental shift on a global level, so it's pretty big. It's pretty big.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how we get there.
Read my book when it comes out.
we're looking forward to it.
It's a combination of shifting our philosophical perspective. And to do that, I've come up with concepts because I'm a big believer in concepts. Concepts are crucial.
That's most artists live on concepts. So.
And the concept that I've created is called complexism, and there are aspects of complexism which you can take on board and deal with the complex. I talk in the book about the Ouroboros of complexism.
Thank you, because I wanted to get to this.
The Ouroboros is the snake.
Oh, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Snake eating itself, and there are certain concepts involved with that you can learn. Opposite that is the Ouroboros of disagreement, and there are concepts there that you want to avoid. But I was very impressed with that, and I've tried to make.
Can you just speak into that statement a little bit more? That last statement that you just made, that if it's too hard,
Shrug it away,
fuck it, move on. I think this is a really valuable tool for the greater community
Yeah.
of what does that look like in real terms.
Shrug. Physically.
It's like getting out of your own way.
It is about getting out of your own way.
No,
That's where I
it's
equated it to, but I just wonder if there's a
It's deciding
phrase that people can hang their hat on, so to speak.
Which hat?
The hat.
Blue hat.
It's blue hat, because with blue hat you make decisions, you make choices, you take options. So you make a decision right there and then you're going to shrug something.
So if you're stuck,
No, it's not about being stuck. It's about being niggly and worried and being negative about something.
Frame of
And
mind.
deciding you're not going to care about that.
what about people who get caught in
Oh my
that
gosh,
loop?
that's so me
Just
right
repeat the same thing over and over again.
Learn the 6 thinking hats and use blue hat.
Say that again.
Learn the 6 thinking hats and use blue hat, because blue hat is the decision making thinking mode.
I've got his book actually, if you're interested. The
Oh,
creative
yeah,
thinking
Ali has to
systems.
say.
Yeah. Of course, she wants
I
to.
learn what?
You learn by action.
I learn by action. I learn by listening, action, looking more than.
I've talked at you rather than done,
Yeah, we were talking
action
about maybe.
today.
But that's-
we were talking
I
about
mean,
doing a little
it-
exercise.
Well, it is a talking
somehow.
experience anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
A podcast.
I don't feel talked at.
It's not
Yeah,
a short film.
The thinking tools are very much, I have a coaching process where I coach, so I talk but I get people to apply and really use the tool. And backyard exercise, far away exercise, so that it's not, like I wouldn't do it with you guys about the podcast. Too close to home. You get all your emotions tangled up with it.
Got it. Yeah.
Whereas you can go more closer and closer to home as you learn the tool, you become more objective about using it in the discipline. And then it's applying before the next coaching session. It's applying to real issues and then coming back, and I'll coach to the results. I'm just like a swimming coach. I'm standing on the side of the pool and I'm going, lower your kick faster or whatever. And so I coach to the results of your thinking while you've been away.
Yes, which is what people need to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
to
Yeah.
and move their
Yeah.
ideas and their thinking frame.
Who I keep thinking of, which has some similarities, it's maybe a different doorway, but is Jacinta Ardern and her recent book that she just published, which was called A Different Kind of Power. And she speaks of when she was New Zealand Prime Minister, she used empathy and compassion. She had 2 major crises that she had to deal with. And then I watched Carney, someone like Carney, who has a very similar measured approach. Hey?
Canadian
Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you think there's any correlations there, but it feels
Correlations with what?
with the idea that leadership should be more about empathy, compassion,
Yeah.
rather than telling someone what to do,
Yeah.
having the conversation,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
the best way forward here as the group,
Yeah.
collective,
I
conscious.
think it's called empathetic leadership sometimes. But going back to the leadership part of the book, that particular phase of complexity leadership. Complexity leadership is a new theory about the relationship between people in organisations in particular, which is based on, we have three different types of behaviour. One is all organisations will have bureaucratic behaviours. And bureaucratic behaviours, people, this is the way we do things around here, this is what we do, and so on. And they're necessary because they provide a sort of framework so that things aren't all open-ended, because that gets chaotic. We've got to be careful about the difference between chaos, chaotic, and complicated. They're all different in complexity language, which I explain in the book. And then we have enabling leadership. With enabling leadership, the decision maker focuses on, and the decision maker that has the formal, you've got the right to be a leader in the old-fashioned sense, focuses on not the people and the individuals and what they're doing with each other or the hierarchies, but it focuses on keeping the organisation at the edge of chaos, that place where new and innovative can emerge. And so there is a responsibility for them to hear the system, which is one of the things I talk about in the book, that with complexity reality you have to learn to hear the system. It's very different from looking at it and seeing it. And I tell a little story, going off a bit here, but I tell a little story in the book where I had when I lived in Northbridge, on the second floor of my office, I had my computer looking at the wall, and on the side there was French doors, and they looked out over the park, and the park in Northbridge had a lot of Indigenous people going through it on a daily basis. And one day I heard this scream, this gut-wrenching, terrible screaming going on that was floating in through the doors, and turned my stomach. And when I was hearing the complexity of the pain. When I turned, I saw there were two Indigenous people, both obviously very drunk, and a woman, the man was pelting the woman with cans, and I'm sure they were full. And I suddenly saw her as an object. She's Indigenous, she's poor, blah, 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 why didn't she get out of the way, a whole range of things, why didn't she protect herself? And I switched to what we're used to ever since Plato's cave of the shadow against the wall, to objectifying this living person, this living creature. And I think that there's a lot I'm saying we have to learn to hear complexity. And it's a task, and we need to learn it, as Indigenous people have for millions of years.
So moving out of othering.
They hear the trees. So getting back to the complexity leadership, is that okay?
Yeah.
So getting back to that, the third set of behaviours in the complexity leadership trilogy is another story. I took 100 women when I was CEO of Power Institute through a complexity leadership program in groups of 10. And it was learn as you go and apply it. And so one of them was, she was a manager at Hollyoake working with addicts. She decided, and it sounds silly because we think that's so easy, she decided that she would go into her Monday weekly meetings and that she wouldn't say anything. She remained silent. So she goes into the meeting. She was so ingrained in this directorial, managerial stuff that she was doing. She sat on her hands to stop herself from talking. And so she sat there, 10 minutes goes by, everybody talks about their lawns or whatever it is they're talking about, and then they all just don't say anything, and they all look at her. And she realised that she had been training them to be not resilient or adaptive. She was training them to be dependent on her. She had
So
to
mimicking rather than thinking on their own.
She had to really work out. Well, they were dependent. They were looking for her to start the conversation.
That's not innovation, is it?
No.
A really unhealthy way of leadership.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing today, because it's almost like, I say to Geraldine all the time, it's like you can feel they know they're hanging by their fingernails, that the world is about to change, and they are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that it doesn't disappear. But it is.
Yes,
It is
and that's what
disappearing.
happens. They're just complex systems themselves, and complex systems under stress will hold on and not change. Yeah, another story. I think it's almost the last one, and it's the story of the bird and the rock. In the book, metaphor. Anyway, in the book, it's a bird, bin chicken. It's bin chickens. I didn't realise.
Yes.
Yeah, they're actually
They get a
native.
bad rap.
They're native to Australia.
Yeah.
They do get a bad rap. Anyway, I introduced it as the bin chicken and the rock. And the story is that managers have been told and taught and trained to manage no matter what. Make sure nothing changes. Absolutely keep everything going as is. And so they do that, and they use their nice Western thinking, analytical thinking,
Power over.
to measure the rock, weigh the rock, measure how far from and the velocity and all the rest of it. They throw the rock at the bird to stop it from flying away. And they irreparably damage the bird. And that's traditional management and leadership. And
Submission rather than
it's
elevation.
control.
Yeah,
Control
completely,
over.
100%.
Yeah. And what the alternative is, that in complexity leadership and dealing with the system, you put down bird seeds to attract the bird where you would like it to go, or you flap at the bird. And you manipulate between those as complexity leadership. And
Flap at the bird to
push
Create
away.
movement.
Whereas
or to push it away. Yeah.
to push it into the system.
Somewhere.
You're dealing with the
else.
system.
Yeah.
Right? And was alternatively using the rock and measuring it and all the rest of it irreparably damages the bird, as I said. And at the same time, throwing the rock at the bird doesn't really get it. It goes the way you want it to go for a while, and then it goes off. So this, putting the seed down, attracting the bird, and think system, when I say bird, is what complexity leadership is about as well.
Which makes me realise that that story is about nature and natural order.
Absolutely.
And for some reason that comes back to the othering. We think we're other than natural systems. So
we
we're
do.
not actually really working with the
I
natural
know, we've
order and
divorced
natural
ourselves
systems.
from
We're forgetting
from the nature.
that this earth of ours that we are inhabiting and visitors on is a whole organic system on its own.
Yeah.
Organism on its own. It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And if she wanted to shake us off, we were talking about that this morning, weren't we? Or was it that's you and me, Steph?
Sorry, what?
We were talking about shaking the fleas off Mother Earth, shaking the fleas
Yes.
off this morning. If she wanted, if she gets tired of our nonsense, it's very easy for her just to go like a dog would to shake fleas off, and we'd be gone. 9 billion of us would be gone in a nanosecond.
Yeah.
So if we think that power over is going to continue to
Yes.
work, I think we're sadly going to see
Yeah.
some catastrophic event like that.
Yeah.
But I wonder, can I just ask this question here? Look, every system has its own death and rebirth, but we seem to be in a perpetual space, certainly in the last maybe 15,000 years.
Didn't expect her to say that.
No, because before that it was very much, the Indigenous have been here for 65, the American Indigenous 45,000 years. They knew shit that we just don't get. And we then came in and did right from day one, we did a very draconian system, right, from Sumerian times. So if we're in that frame and we're constantly rebirthing that frame with every empire collapses, this is another empire collapsing at the moment, except it's got the tag of capitalism on it as well. When does that's a perpetuating cycle we seem to be caught in. How do we break that cycle to move into...
From a complexity reality perspective, it's a myth to say that we're in a cycle. That's very Buddhist. It's a very Buddhist mindset.
Well,
we're not in a cycle. We're continually changing, continually adapting. It's when we stop adapting that we die.
So you don't think that even though we're adapting within each cycle, that we're not recreating another empire, recreating another...
It's not within, we've got a wrong concept about the cycle. I know everybody uses it. And it's inappropriate for complexity.
Can you explain that a little bit more to me?
Because we're just constantly changing, not going through a cycle of it's like this, but
we are constantly changing.
So you think there's elevation and evolution within each cycle that then changes the next? No.
You keep talking cycles.
Because I don't know how else to talk about it. So.
Change.
New thinking tools. That's what
I'm trying to understand.
Change and adaptivity. See, we also place an emphasis on resilience.
Yeah.
Organisations have to be resilient. Resilient gives you nothing. The dodo bird was extremely resilient. It learned within its context thousands of years to stay alive and survive, and as soon as the context shifted, where humans came along and bonked it on the head, it couldn't fly because it had no wings, and it absolutely was extinct. So instead of cycles, we have extinction, or we adapt, or we die. That replaces the concept of cycle.
Okay, that's very Darwinism, but...
Darwinism is part of complexity.
Okay.
Complexity science, but it's not the end. Certainly very PhD-like.
I'm very trying not to understand, so forgive me for asking that, but I'm really trying to understand what this complexity system that you're talking about is, and what I know and what I see in my own language. So to adapt the language or to adapt the understanding.
Just think things are highly complex.
He's breathing on you.
You want to get out?
I think he wants to go the way.
He's done it. He's got such good manners. Really.
He is. He's very good that way. Might bark at strangers, but he's pretty good otherwise. You're right there, Ali?
Yep.
Are you comfortable, love? Do you need a pillow or something?
I think we should wrap it up. We're to closing and...
Yeah.
I can see the thread.
Richard.
I haven't done it for a while.
No, that's true. Thank you, Steph.
So Geraldine, if you've got enough...
I was just going to mention my favourite other writer.
Yeah.
I love that. I was just going to talk about an article I was mentioned because it was in context with leadership, and Richard Hames is...
Richard Hames.
Yeah, so he's putting out... He's got a huge output of writing going out on Substack and probably many other mediums too, yes.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's just in context with the complexity reality, where is this week he's talking about how leadership is... It's titled Killing Leadership, and he's really talking about how leadership has lost its agency in that the traditional modes of leadership, and he talks about the shadows of leadership, he talks about it as a spent idea.
Oh yeah.
And I find that really interesting. But he's talking about why leaders have failed us and how these patterns and traditions, the old boardroom leadership of exactly your story regarding the women that you were training, and that's a fabulous story where she's decided not to speak and just to listen. So he's talking about the shadows being, the first shadow is domination, closed as responsibility, and looking at how that rationalities can be a means to an end and actually can be very cruel and or self-serving or not actually work in our societies now. Yeah. We're changing, basically, is what he's saying. Yeah. And he's a futurist. He's talking about the way that we move into the future, knowing that a lot of things that we know and recognise are not serving us, basically. Yes. So the second pattern is the cult of the hero, and I think that's really happening on a world level. Where the third one is the permanent state of competitive scarcity, which is obviously the economics that we work
just
in.
Competition, full stop.
Yeah, competition. Yep, it is.
If you're interested in social value and the delivery of social value outside economic value, the social Value International website. Fantastic. They have principles that you can follow now. Principles that you can follow instead of measuring economic value. Because measuring social value is very intangible, but there are ways now to actually measure it. And my work with the Social Impact Measurement Network was all around that. And I'm actually an accredited social return on investment analyst, where you measure that intangible social value in a slightly different way.
What was that
There's a
website that
reason
you
why
said?
Social Values International.
Yes.
Put it all down in the description.
So with that scarcity comes the commodification
Yeah,
of everything,
sounds good.
down to the human being being commodified,
Yeah.
which touched a little bit about that objectification. Well,
Yeah.
we seem to be
No,
an
it sounds really
extreme
good, and
end.
I'd like to reference.
He's a great thinker.
Yeah,
he's
so
like
send-
yourself.
send
He's a thinker.
Send the reference.
And the fourth one is it's called the temporal myopia, and obviously we really do have a very myopic vision. So we're looking at horizons that are cyclic. There's and trending, and we're looking at the social media culture, and now everything is just in the moment and is completely myopic, and the digitalisation is the classic. Where
Might be the
I
transition.
know, and I see that in school, with school children, that they're not learning the analog clock, or they're finding it more and more increasingly difficult. So we are living in, so children are growing up with a digital clock. And in our first episodes I was talking about the long path, looking at the long-term vision, and one of the analogies is that we have gone from an analog reading of time to a digitalised reading of time, and how that means that constantly being in the present, which sounds like a mindfulness exercise, but constantly being present means you're not actually aware of past or future, it's just always now. So
there's value in both.
So he's really talking about the contemporary crisis, and I think that's really what you're
if you send
actually.
that to me, I'd like to have a look at this work.
Yeah, well, I think your writing is actually approaching that crisis, and that's so more power to you. And I'm hoping that does get published soon, or we look at other ways of getting that work out.
I mean, there's a whole new world out there with that stuff, especially. I don't know whether you've visited Substack, but it's pretty phenomenal.
And I've sent to 50 literary agents, some of whom have connections.
Ali, can you give us a shout out to the name of the book?
Journey to Complexity Reality.
Okay. Say it again, but louder.
Journey to Complexity Reality.
Excellent.
Should we all say it together?
Yes.
Oh no,
Well, she wants it louder.
This is our little Patreon account post.
Echo chamber.
We have got the amazing Ali Sumner with us today, and she's written a book that you all have to read. So all together now, it's called
Journey to Complexity Reality.
Journey to Complexity Reality.
I don't want it to be
This is behind the scenes, goes on the Patreon account. The general public.
I've said a couple of times that I am challenging stuff in my book. Things that we take for granted and things that we think normal. And I challenge quite strongly in the book futurists.
Cut you off now, so it doesn't matter.
Because I know it's not popular because they are
It's more, anyway, you can find out a little bit more about what he does. He's very genuine. And
well, they're
what
all
he's doing,
genuine.
Oh no, anyway.
There's something different about him.
No, there's a lot more than somebody who's looking, strategising
the biggest difficulty being that they don't their work does not sit comfortably with complexity, so it can't sit comfortably with me because they don't understand the nuances of complexity. And if anybody queries what I've just said, I have referenced that in my book. It's full on with notes.
I saw the reference.
Really reference.
I saw the reading.
I didn't want to, because I've never been trained as a philosopher. Doing a PhD doesn't get you, so I've never had any formal university background in philosophy, and so I had to be squeaky clean to make sure that I didn't get myself under attack.
And this is going through the process of academia will sort of shape and mould.
And trying to follow a path, that's why the map is there, to try and follow a path where it wasn't and I hope I didn't come over to Jay as a professor lecturing.
No, not at all.
You're offering an approach that is valid. It's just,
Thank you.
No, there's a lot of
Appreciate that.
openness in there, I think.
Yeah.
and thank you for coming to our table, Kelli.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And taking
Absolutely.
part in food.
Absolutely a pleasure. I'm starting to feel a tad tired.
Under the microscope
It's been a long
enough.
day.
He is too, me too. We're going to take this baby to the park still, so.
Yeah.
So you didn't go yesterday.
But you
Oh,
did
you
give us
didn't.
plenty of fodder for
No.
her.
Very good.
I didn't want to do it.
And I don't know, how shall we sign out? I think
As
we
we
should all do
always
this.
Oh no, with a shrug and fuck it off.
Get all the cake off.
Let's all do a shrug and fuck it off.
That's it. Or we could just end like we always end. And that's
See you later, fuck off. Bye.
We don't do that. We do not do that. That can stay on the Patreon account. It will get edited on the YouTube one.
I do have a little mantra.
And the mantra is always, and don't forget to first laugh. Laugh ferociously, always, no matter what.
Yeah.
It brings joy, always. And it's best medicine in the world. Love until you just can't love any more than you already are. You like love.
Keep loving life.
We forget to love. I think we've, like real love, I'm talking about, you know, not...
Romantic love.
Although that's
Just
nice.
get up.
They're all good
Yeah.
things. Like, I'm talking about the greater unconditional love that we are all connected to. And then the very final one, which I think is probably the most important thing, is we all have to just remember to breathe.
Yeah.
And breathe properly, not this stuff. It's a
Yeah.
deep yoga breath and release
And
everyone.
we've done a lot of talking, so we probably
Yeah.
need
We
to
have, and this baby has handled it well, haven't you,
Yeah,
darling?
very well.
And I love that we've got a messy table today.
I know. It's not a proper podcast if we don't end with a messy table, Ellie.
And I love that we had quite a lot of
So you've done well. We've created a messy table with objective. Oh, that's nice.
What the podcast was better than what you thought it would be.
This experience.
She may never have seen a podcast of ours.
where it's so chaotic today.
And for the viewers at home, I've got my bag on so we can get the out of here.
Oh no, we're turning cameras off now.